It took me thousands of hours to figure out how to scale to plus $130,000 with my sales team agency. Today, I'm sharing the complete system with you for free. I'm opening up my entire systemized delivery infrastructure so you can see what it feels like to operate at this level. You'll get an inside look at how I systemize delivery across 3 industries, the complete SOPs, industry-specific processes, and frameworks that make this business run without me. So let's get into it. Welcome to the command center. So this is where my $139K a month sales team agency gets managed. You're going to notice that there's a lot of stuff here to digest, but I'm going to walk you guys through each component step by step. Okay. So first we have internal knowledge base, and within that knowledge base, we have this document that I called Systemized. So essentially, this is the foundation of my process, my entire company, the organizational structure, employee management, and internal systems that keep us sane and everything smoothly. So you're going to notice that the author here is my name because I wrote this entirely by myself, and it took me a long time to actually figure this stuff. So I never share this entire document with team members. I just share with them, for example, each component of this entire document. Okay. So we have strategic impact, which is high because this is private. And then we have status, which is systemized. Okay. Because this entire document gets updated, I would say every 30 days or so. And then the target outcome, which is 200K monthly recurring revenue. So this is my goal in the next couple months, okay? And then KPI linked, which is $130,000 monthly recurring revenue that we need to hit every single month. And then we have linked resources, which is basically just a resource that is linked to this document that I called it scaling, okay? Now, if I scroll down, I'm going to see internal SOPs, okay? So you will see that we have HQ process infrastructure. This is basically the infrastructure that never changes for each client, okay? And then we have delivery protocol, which is the 3 giant wheels. And this is the 2 things that I'm going to be walking you guys through this in this video, okay? We have performance review system, communication protocols, document management system, organizational charts and rule definitions, employee handbook for employees that are new. And then we have onboarding process for new hires, meeting cadence and agenda, template, security and confidential protocols, and emergency procedures and business continuity. So these are all the processes that I use to run my agency. And also these things are pretty important when you want to sell the company. Not that I'm going to sell it anyway. So if I scroll down, I have the sales process, so lead qualification all the way to the referral program management that we have with our clients. And then we have data analytics and SOPs. So we have basically the data collection standards, performance metrics, all the way to benchmarking and KPI tracking. Okay. So this is a process that I came up with when I was around 40K a month and I wanted to scale. And this is when I came up with the connector angle that I currently run in my agency. So first of all, I'm going to walk you through the HQ process infrastructure. So if I click on it, you will see that this is the infrastructure that we use for our entire clients. So you can essentially just copy this entire thing. It's going to save you a lot of time and energy. Okay. So we have phase 0 infrastructure and email setup. So this is essentially for each new client that we onboard. Okay. So just to give you some context, step 1 is they pay, they sign the proposal, and then everything gets triggered in the background, okay? So we have email infrastructure management. So for each client, this is called client allocation. We have 300 inboxes per client, okay? Daily volume for each client. So 1,000 emails per client. So it's about like 3 emails per inbox, okay? And then we have rotation strategy, 100 inbox per campaign angle and 3 angles per client, okay? So as you can see here, so client signed, client onboarding, and then we assign automatically 300 inboxes via Instantly's API. So we have 3 campaigns. The reason why I allocate 300 inboxes is just because I don't want to deal with any deliverability issues. Okay, so I have campaign A. So each campaign gets assigned 100 inboxes. Within that campaign, we have 3 stages. If you don't know what 3 stages is, make sure to check out the CRM video. I'm going to put it right here so you can understand what I'm talking about. And then I have campaign 2, which is, again, same thing, 3 stages, 100 inboxes. So across 3 campaigns, we have 3 stages. And then I came up with this idea, which is the reserve pool. So I allocate 100 inboxes for backup and testing, okay? Because sometimes, like, let's say I'm running volume for this client and I don't want to deal with any deliverability issues. I always reserve 100 inboxes just so I don't have to worry about buying them, etc. And by the way, Just so you understand, I don't purchase domains and emails for clients. A sales agency is a connector. Unlike all the AI automation, sales automation, or lead gen agencies, usually they have to buy domains and they have to warm them up for clients. In my company, we have over 25,000 email inboxes, right? And then we rotate them between our 6 clients, okay? And then the cool part about this is I'm always profitable because these inboxes and infrastructure is mine. So it's within my company's investments that we just use for our clients because we are what? A connector, the middleman. We don't wait 21 days. We don't wait 30 days for warm up. We already have emails and domains that are allocated for each client that we onboard. Okay, makes sense? So I use my own domains and emails and I just connect party A with party B. That's literally it. So I don't have to worry about warm up. I don't have to reach out on behalf of them. I can just say I'm connected to X, which is my client, and I connect you with him. And this is essentially what made me scale to 139K per month because I essentially built my own word instead of being boxed into the AI automation lead gen agency. So they have to buy domains and they have to go through the traditional lead gen cold email systems. Now, for me, I just connect X and Y using my own infrastructure without having to worry about purchasing domains, emailing them. I already have my own. See? So I hope this makes sense. All right. Now we have infrastructure checklists per client. We assign again 300 dedicated inbox from inventory and then set up sending a rotation schedule. So 3 emails per inbox maximum. So I don't have to worry about deliverability. And then we configure reply monitoring and routing to client communication channel. Communication channel that I use is Slack. I'm going to walk you through some of this stuff in another video. And then we have set up inbox health monitoring and reputation tracking. If you're wondering what that is, essentially just like an SOP that I wrote for VAs that check weekly the health of the domains, which is this one, VA SOP documentation, which is this one. And then we also have we also create backup rotation plan for any reputation issues. And then send in schedule optimization. We have a daily volume distribution. So pay attention to this. We have morning block from 7 to 11 a.m. We send 400 emails, so 40% of the daily volume. And then afternoon block, 1 to 4 p.m., 400 emails, so 40% of the daily volume. Evening block, 6 to 8 p.m. If you notice that I send from 7 to 8 p.m., not 7 to 7, because I noticed that when you target some of the decision makers, they still reply to their emails at like 8 p.m., especially founders, because they work a lot more than like a C level or like a VP level of the company. And then we have 200 emails, so 20% of the daily volume. Per inbox limits, so 4 emails per inbox per day. We have a cooldown where we essentially we have 1 day between sends from same inbox to the same domain. And then we have a weekly rest, so each inbox gets 1 day off per week of rest. So we don't send using that inbox. And then we have reputation management protocol. By the way, this is static, okay? This is static for each client. We have deliverability rates tracking per inbox block, spam folder placement monitoring, bounce rate analysis, and threshold alerts. Again, I don't have to deal with this because I have team members and VAs that do this. We have reply rates tracking, which is health indicator, domain reputation scoring. And then we have issues response framework. So this is essentially like a framework that we use. So if it's 95 plus deliverability, we send at full volume operation. And then we have yellow, so 90 to 94% deliverability. This is essentially just like a framework that we use to score. Okay, reduce volume by 20%, orange 85% deliverability, reduce volume 50%, implement cooling, and then red less than 85%, we pause the inbox or replace entirely. Okay, because I don't have to babysit email inboxes, just spin up a new one. And then we have infrastructure recovery process. So we have immediate, so we move affected inboxes to cooling status, and then short-term redistribute volume to healthy inboxes. Repair, what I mean by repair, essentially just replace email entirely. And then we have prevention, which is adjust messaging targeting to improve engagement. Sometimes it's not a deliverability issue. So this is an example for recruitment clients. We have 300 inbox allocation. We have campaign A batch 1, 100 inboxes, campaign B batch B, which is 100 inboxes, and C the same thing. And then essentially we have the reserve 100 inboxes. Okay, so let me just go back here. Then I'm going to walk you through the delivery protocol for 3 industries, because if you guys don't know, I only work with 3 industries, which is the recruitment, cybersecurity, and healthcare. Reason why I do this, because These are the clients that I know how to deliver for. And this is why I just niched down to these 3 industries. Well, it's not really niching down because these are giant industries. Recruitment, like there's hundreds of sub niches and verticals within recruitment. Also, there's hundreds of verticals in cybersecurity, and there's thousands of sub niches in the healthcare industry. Okay. And if you're wondering, how do I get the resources, the course curriculum for people inside my community? Well, I simply just copy the SOPs from inside my company, which is basically the purest source available for them. So they get exactly what I'm doing. That way they can just implement it. So let's go through the recruitment process protocol. So this is a complete sales system for connecting recruitment agencies with active hiring companies. Because what a recruitment agency wants in the recruitment space is they want to place candidates, right, in companies that are hiring. So we have client onboarding process, which is recruitment. So we have discovery analysis, day 1 to 3. But by the way, by day 2, 3, we're already send in. We have initial client assessments, so current candidates, inventory analysis. So the way I get this is from the onboarding form that I send it to them. So essentially it has a bunch of questions that they need to answer that I need. Okay, so placement per month, competitive landscape, other recruiters in their space, essentially case studies, the industries they want to talk to. And then we have the success metrics. So the success metrics is pretty interesting. We have 5 to 9 placements every 3 months. So we essentially try to get them from 5 to 9 placements every 3 months. Now, I sign clients for 6-month periods, so that allows me that buffer to actually deliver, okay? Because in order for you to actually scale, you need to deliver, right? And then we have secondary KPIs with 10 hiring manager conversations per week, and then plus 20 company matches per month, okay? And then we have the search parameters for the recruitment focus. We have a bunch of signals that we use. For instance, the primary target categories is the hiring expansion pain signal. So we look for companies that have an employee growth rate by 20% in the last 12 months. We also filter by recent funding, company size, and geographic focus. And then we have companies with active job postings. So this is something that you can steal. If you are working with a recruitment client, the best way to go and find those companies hiring is those companies that are posting +3 job openings on their company websites, or maybe LinkedIn, or maybe Indeed, Glassdoor, whatever. Okay. And then they recently posted roles on LinkedIn job boards last 30 days. So just to give you some context, why are we using this is because when the VA goes ahead and finds these leads for us, they need to go through this 3-step process, okay, and explain why these leads fall within this actual criteria. That way, we always have the best leads. And then we have department-specific expansion signals. So these are expansion signals. Again, this is essentially like pain sniffing tactics. We have recent department head hires. So new VP engineers, VP sales. These are all pain signals, just like I said. Product launch announcements, market expansion news, and acquisition announcements. Then we have PA, VC portfolio companies, recently acquired companies, portfolio companies of active PA/VC firms, and companies in growth/scaling phase post-investments. Usually this is from Crunchbase or like AngelList or maybe AXA. These are all lead sourcing databases. And then we have advanced targeting strategies. So we also can target by tech stack, which is companies using applicant tracking systems. Again, this is a pain signal you can use if you are, let's say, working with a recruitment client, okay? Or wondering what are the methods you can use to actually deliver for recruitment clients. You can also, like this, you can scrape companies that are using applicant tracking system, which is a hiring infrastructure, okay? That these companies hiring use, okay? And then we have recent job posting, for example, software implementations. We have HR technology adoptions, which is scaling hiring operations. Again, these are all companies that we can match with our recruitment clients. And then we have financial health signals, recent revenue announcements, partnership announcements, award recognition. This is typically, you can source this from LinkedIn because they love talking about their recognition. And then we have fastest growing / best workplace. Pain signals and triggers, we have high priority, okay? And then we have growth stage signals and department specific signals. These are immediate hiring pain signals that we can use and essentially just leverage in our copy and also target it. Multiple postings, same role, extended job posting duration. So if they are open for like 60 days, that means that's a pretty good signal that they are struggling to fill that role, right? Because it's been open for like 60 days plus. And then we have urgent language and posting for example, like immediate hire. So we scrape companies for these keywords like immediate hire, ASAP, urgent need. You're going to notice them when you scrape job postings. And then we have executive hiring activity. This is like the most important thing here, which is executive hiring. This is huge because when you work with these recruitment companies that hire executives, they make a ton of money. And since they make a ton of money, you can also make a ton of money. And then we have rapid growth announcements, press releases about scaling expansion. So this is the growth stage signals from founding rounds, new office openings, product launch activity, customer milestones announcements. And then we have department specific signals from engineer team, all the way like any industry. Engineering teams, sales teams, marketing teams, operations teams. And then we have seasonal and industry-specific triggers. So based off the time of the year, we have Q from Q1 to Q4, it's budget approvals and New Year hiring initiative. Post-funding hiring 3 to 6 months after founding rounds, whether it's Series A, B, C, D. And then we have acquisition integration. So 6 to 12 months post-acquisition. Because think about it, if it's 6 to 12 months post-acquisition, they're probably looking to hire, again, because they want to scale. And then we have product launch cycles, pre and post-major product releases. And then we have industry-specific pain points. You can copy this. For example, if your client is a recruitment company that works specifically with SaaS, then we have engineer velocity, customer success scaling. These are all keywords that they use. Fintech, compliance, hires, security specialists. No, it's not candidates, it's security specialists. See how he changes the lingo? And then regulatory experts. Health tech is clinical specialists, not candidates. Again, same thing. Regulatory affairs and compliance officers. Outreach messaging, again, you can just copy this. We have target decision makers by role, hiring manager, direct department heads, so from VP all the way to startup founders, which is direct hiring involvement. Because think about it, like if it's a startup, you want to talk to the founder because they still do everything themselves, okay? And then we have team leads with hiring authority, VP engineering, this is for companies from 11 to around 200, department heads and senior managers, this is like level enterprise. And then we have HR talent acquisition, so chief people officers, talent acquisition manager, people operations specialists, and executive assistants to key decision makers. We have the message templates by pain points. Again, this is a winning template that I use. Now, I don't use this copy and paste. I take this template and I build from it. So you can do the same thing. So this copy just works. It's one of those, gold mine copies that we use. So Hey First Name, notice company has been posting for specific role positions, working with a recruiter who has strong role type candidates with the years. Highly recommend doing this. See, most people that do this kind of stuff, let's say they are working with a recruitment client, they reach out on behalf of them. Okay, it's kind of like the recruitment agency does the outreach, and they just use this typical generic outreach that every agency does, and they wonder why they can't even make 10K per month and they never ever scale. Or they say, we have candidates, let me know if I should send them over. Now, I noticed that this doesn't work, okay? Because people's attention spans are super low. So you want to give them the value up front. For example, hey, I have this candidate that has these exact criteria and exactly what you mentioned in the job posting, okay? And let me know if I can just make the intro with the recruiter that I'm working with. So working with a recruiter who has a strong role type, candidate with years, specific technology industry experience, exactly the profile you've been looking for. See, it's more relevant and timely. And then we have previously worked at similar company. So we add more social proof and just became available. I'm adding more scarcity and more of like a FOMO feel to the email. Worth a quick intro if you're still actively hiring. And then we have a volume hiring approach, which is multiple candidates. Again, this is another method. Instead of just saying, hey, I can send over a list of candidates, just literally send them the candidates. If they are interested, they will reply. That's it. You don't have to go through this rigmarole of like, send an email, are you interested? They say yes, and then you send them the candidates, boom, they ghost. Never do that. And I learned this the hard way. Saw you hiring activity for department roles connected with a recruiter who has number pre-vetted candidates in your space. Skill 1, specialists with company type experience. Skill 2, experts from industry background. All currently available and interviewing. Worth a 10-minute conversation if you're scaling the department team. And then we have urgent hiring solution, subject line, which is fast track hiring decision. This is urgent. Been chatting with a few title at similar stage industry companies about hiring challenges. Everyone's struggling with the same issue, finding quality candidates quickly. So again, I'm using this direct pain points. angle. Working with a recruiter who just helped similar company fill 3 role type positions in 30 days using a pre-vetted candidate approach. Worth connecting if speed and quality are priorities for your department hiring. Obviously, they're going to be like, yes, because every company wants speed and quality, right? We have a follow-up sequence strategy for essentially email 1, initial contact, email 2, which is value add. We give them industry insights or hiring trend information, social proof, and direct offer. And then we have quality control and measurements. We have lead qualification criteria from A grade, so actively hiring. So essentially we segment them. So we just give the client the best results possible. We have A grade, B grade, and C grade. And then we have campaign performance metrics. You can take a look at this in a document that I'm going to leave you, right? So just read it slowly, digest the information. And then we have daily tracking per 1,000 emails. I don't track open rates because it's just stupid to track open rates. So focus on the KPI that matters. Reply rates, positive reply rates, and actual meeting booked and actual money made. The single most important KPI is how much money are you making. That's it. And then we have response rates. Target 3% positive reply rates, more than 50%, and median booking rate is 1%, which is actually healthy. And then we have monthly success metrics, placement completed, 1 per client, and interview presentations, which is 10 plus. Okay. This is basically the backend that we work with recruitment agencies because we essentially just help them with their sales process. And then message quality review. This is what VAs actually send me in Slack so I can just see if the personalization is actually accurate. Candidate fit relevance, professional tone and grammar, clear value proposition and next steps, compliance with recruitment, best practices. So essentially it's kind of like a copy audit. So I do the same thing with actually people in my community. So they write the copy and I come and audit. And it's really fun to do it when you actually give feedback. And then we have targeting, quality control, company hiring signal verification, decision-making accuracy has to be accurate, obviously, job posting relevance, validation, time and appropriateness, assessment, and cultural fit, probability evolution. So this is the recruitment delivery protocol. Let me go back here. And I'm going to walk you guys through the cybersecurity and the healthcare. So you can just pause this, digest the information, and then we can go through the cybersecurity next. Alrighty, so cybersecurity delivery protocol. So again, complete sales system for connecting cybersecurity firms with companies facing security challenges, okay? Because obviously, think about it. If a company is a cybersecurity company, obviously they either have a software or they provide services for companies that were recently hacked or maybe they are facing security challenges, okay? Client onboarding, same thing. 1, 2, 3, which is, again, this is where we get from the onboarding. Again, same thing. Core security services inventory. So whether it's pen testing, compliance, incident responses, or architecture, industry specialization, whether it's fintech, health tech, SaaS, or financial services. You're going to notice that within the cybersecurity, 99% is these 4 industries. Now, again, these are 4 giant industries: health tech, fintech, SaaS, financial services. Mostly financial services in my experience. We have compliance expertise. So what is the expertise of that client that we just onboarded? Team capabilities and success stories that we use by industry in their copy. Market positioning that they have. So tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3. Emergency services, maybe they provide emergency services for their clients. We have, again, target client profile. So we get the company size that they want to talk to, industry, security maturity, early to immediate need external expertise. And then success metrics is different than the recruitment. So we aim for 8 to 12 qualified demos booked per month, and then secondary APIs, which is 25 plus security and conversations per month. And then we have quality metrics, which is 20-30% demos, essentially how many demos we actually book them. Then we have the search parameters for cybersecurity focus. We have the fundraising companies, recent funded industry, employee count, geographic focus, customer type, B2B. And then the high growth tech companies, fastest growing, Inc. 5000 list companies, unicorn and near unicorn valuations, recent IPO preparations or fillings, major product launches. Then we have the advanced technology resources, for example, regulatory updates, ISO 27001. I know this sounds pretty complicated, but these are just lingos and keywords that these cybersecurity companies use. Then we have security news monitoring. So we basically, for these clients, some of them want to talk to companies that were recently hacked. So essentially have a system that basically gets triggered whenever there's like a data breach announcement or new regulatory requirements. Then we have funding and growth signals. This is from Crunchbase, funding announcements, or Excel, or Angelus, or PitchBook. We have Press releases about enterprise customer wins, job posting for security roles. Again, this is a pain signal. And then we have security tool procurement announcements. Pain signals and triggers, we have from critical to growth to technical depth and infrastructure signals, recent security incidents, all the way to regulatory notices. We have enterprise customer acquisition. So if it's a Fortune 500 company requiring security validation from our clients. And then we have rapid scaling, 100 plus employee growth, creating security gaps. Again, this is a pain signal you can use. Cloud migration, AI/ML implementation. So maybe they implemented new technology and they need security frameworks, like new security frameworks, so we connect them with our clients. Then we have industry-specific pain points for each big industry. So fintech. So all of these industries speak different. So fintech, they speak about cryptocurrency security standards, financial regulatory compliance. And then for health tech, they care about HIPAA compliance. They care about healthcare data breach prevention and telehealth platform security validation, and also EHR, the huge pain points in the healthcare industry. For the SaaS/B2B triggers, we have COC2 Type 2 compliance requirements, API security assessment, third-party integration security reviews. Government defense triggers, this is a bit more of like enterprise, very, very rare. So we have critical infrastructure protection needs, defense contracts or cybersecurity standards, all the way to FedRAMP compliance requirements. Again, these are all just pain signals you can use. Time and signals, again, based opportunities, seasonal compliance from Q1 to Q4, they care about COC2 audit preparation. So popular audit season. This is like a popular audit season. And we have Q2, Q3, ISO 27000 certification cycles, year-end compliance deadline rushes, and post-breach periods, which is essentially just like it's not all the time, but sometimes within like half the year, we have industry-wide security investment increases. And then funding, 3 to 6 months post-funding, that means their security infrastructure, they're rebuilding it. And then pre-IPO, so 12 to 18 months, comprehensive security program development. Outreach messaging strategy. So we target chief technology officers, CTOs, because again, they care about the security aspects about the company. VP engineer, we have compliance and risk management. Depends on the angle that we go for. This is essentially the persona that handles that department, and it will make sense for them. Okay. Executive leadership for strategic focus. You will see strategic focus is for executive leadership, for example, CEO, CFO, or COO. And then we have compliance and risk management. So it's CCOs. And then technical leadership, well, it's CTO because it's technical. Messaging templates, again, hey first name, working with a security consultant who specialize in fast-tracking SCOC implementations for industry companies. Notice company name is likely facing compliance requirements for enterprise sales. They just helped similar company. And then we have growth stage, again, same thing, been chatting with a CTO at similar stage of industry, enterprise customer type, similar company. Again, you can just take a look at these copies and then just use them. Enterprise customer requirements, industry-specific compliance, and then we have the follow-up strategy, which is initial contact, industry insights 4 days, social proof, and then technical resources. Then A grade, same thing for the recruitment. You're going to notice that we use the same formula. So A grade opportunities, B grade, C grade. And then we have daily tracking, response rate 2.5%, because cybersecurity is notorious. And this is why I've dominated it, because I know the secrets of the cybersecurity. Because if you guys don't know, I used to be a nerd when it comes to cybersecurity when I was a kid. And then I have demo booking rates, which is 0.8%, which is actually amazing. We have monthly success metrics, so 8 to 12 per client's demo completed, and security assessments 6 plus. Industry-specific delivery customization, so for fintech, health tech, and then the SaaS security. Okay, let's go back. Let me walk you through the last one, which is the healthcare delivery. Same thing. This is for connecting healthcare providers with medical practices facilities. We have, again, the same thing that we use here. Essentially, this is where we get from the onboarding. We have the markets position and assessment tier 1, 2, 3, and then the target practice profile definition, which is practice type, practice size, geographic, technology readiness. And the primary KPI is 10 new appointments. So now it's appointments, not demos. And then we have 20-35% appointment to engagement conversion rates. Lead source, and again, so these are healthcare focused practice groups with 3+ location practices with recent expansions and acquisitions. We have high growth specialty practices, which is essentially dermatology, orthopedic, cardiology, and mental health, healthcare, technology, companies B2B, healthcare SaaS, medical service, health IT. I love working with health IT, telehealth, and healthcare data analytics companies. These are the advanced healthcare intelligence sources, practice growth indicators, for example, new practice opening announcements. And then we also have technology adoption signals, so HR system implementation or changes, or pain signals. Now, this is the triggers and also the pain signals too. We have the patient flow issues, for example, if they have long wait times, scheduling inefficiencies, patient complaints. And then we have growth and expansion triggers, for example, if they have multi-location complexity. For the technology modernization needs, maybe they need a new telehealth implementation. So depending on our client's offer, we just match pattern that, okay? Practice site specific pain points for primary care, specialty care, and then we also have multi-location practice, small hospital / health system triggers. We have seasonal triggers. So Q1 to Q4, budget planning and technology investments. Q2, Q3 is going to be quality measure reporting and compliance preparation. And then at the end of the year, usually around December, maybe like all the way from September all the way to December, meaningful use and quality program deadline. The outreach and messaging strategy, we target decision makers again by role for practice leadership, medical directors and chief medical officers, all the way to managing partners and practice owners. Operational management, it's again IT directors, quality directors, and then the clinical leadership, which is essentially like the CMO, okay, and the department heads of service line directors. Yes. And then the message templates, again, by pain points. So, for example, this is first pain point, operational efficiency. Hey, first name, working with a consultant who helps practice type, practices, streamline operation, improve patient flow. And then, again, I use the same thing. I just pick this template and I just build from it. Again, technology modernization approach, multi-location operations, and revenue cycle and billing optimization. We have industry-specific messaging variations all the way to hospital health system approach. We have follow-up sequence, which is initial contacts, industry insights, and then we have the last one, which is the breakup. Campaign performance metrics, essentially daily tracking per 1,000 emails. We have response rate all the way to 3%, positive response rates from this 3% all the way like 1%. So usually around 10% is pretty good. And then we have appointment booking rates 0.6%. Practice conversation initiated is basically plus 30 plus, and then monthly success metrics is 10 to 20 new appointments. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just copy this entire thing in like a Google Doc, just because I don't want you to deal with Notion links. Service delivery, Mayo process. And then anyone with the link can just copy. Okay. So there we go. Now you have an inside look of what it feels like to actually run a 100K plus agency. You can just read this entire document slowly digest the information, and then just go from there. So I'll talk to you soon. Peace.